Today I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I normally do. I want to help with the Axiom CNC. It's an Iconic 6 and the Rich Auto controller, specifically how to configure the mill plane. It has directions in the manual, but it's not real clear how the controls work. I'm sure they've got it in some training somewhere, but I haven't been able to find a video on YouTube. And since that's how I get my right now information, figure I'd give you all one, since that way you don't end up at the same spot I did. So the plane I want to mill right here on the board, it's on the CNC now. We're just going to go through the controller config. You don't have to load any software in this. So first thing I want to do, we do want to take that router back to wherever our home point is. So in this case, I've already kind of dialed it in, and I'm putting that point right on the tip of my workpiece. And I've also noticed you've lowered the router bit to where it's just above the workpiece. So I'm zeroed in at 100, I'm up at 500. So I want to go to Advanced, and then I'm going to scroll down to Mill Plane, and I'm going to hit OK. This is where these controls get a little weird. All right, and I want to do the scan mill type. Basically, the difference is the scan mill is back and forth, and circle is working your way from the center point out. All right, and I like the X scan is left, right, and then moves up, left, right. The Y scan is up, down, and then moves left, moves right, and then up, down, and then moves right. So I'm actually going to change this, and to change it, unlike other areas in the controller, you don't hit OK, because that will just immediately start the work. You click on the Run Pause. That lets you configure it. Then go down to where you want to go, Y scan, and set that. Now, I need to set I've got my width and my height set already. You can measure your workpiece, but the easiest way to find this is just move your CNC to where you want it and note the numbers. All right, so as an example, I'm going to jump back and show you. So with width, I've got 180 right now, right? So let's see where width puts me. We'll go back to the main menu. I'm going to go to Home. Notice that brings my router a bit up and over. All right, so if I go, let's see, I'm going my X, what I want. So I'm going to go that button down, move it over. You can see I'm at 165. 171, 172, so quick up, went too far. All right. So I'm able to move that and note this is where I want that bit to end on my X-axis. So that's what I'm going to put into the configuration. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the advanced functions. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and zero it out again. Take it back to origin. It's moving. Okay. Now I'm bringing mine a little bit out both directions. I've got enough cutoff area. I'm not too worried about it. And then I don't worry about it. You just hitting the edge or looking funky or something. All right. I'm also going to drop it down to drop my Z-axis down to about 0.500. And be real careful doing this. It's easy to go too far. All right, so that's where I want it. And it's just sitting just above my workpiece. And now I'm going to go back to my advanced functions. Go down to mill plane. Hit the OK. Scan mill. Now my type. Now here's where, if you're setting it, most other menu areas with this controller, you'd hit OK. In this case, no, that will just start the job. So I want to hit Run Pause. Makes a lot of sense, right? And then I put in the number that I want. This isn't up, down. This is using the number pad here. So in this case, 1, 8, 0. Now I hit OK to confirm that. Right? Now I'm going to come down. Got my height already configured. my diameter, that's the diameter of my milling bit. I've actually got it set to a little under what the bit itself is, and the reason being is with it a little bit smaller, I get a little more overlap. I just like the way it looks a little bit better. If you get it right at the diameter of your bit, then that will ensure you're not wasting any time, essentially. Okay, so go down to depth. So it's going to start out at whatever you have now is 0. And whatever you have it set at is it's going to assume is 0. It doesn't work like any of the other functions where you use the touch off tool or anything like that. It's going to assume where I'm at now is 0. So that means if I'm going a depth of 200, it's going to drop down to 0.200. So that's the other thing, is it's kind of in reverse of the way that the other functions work. In this case, I want to modify this. I'm going to hit run, and I'm going to change this depth to 1.0. Okay, so it's going to come down just that little bit. So you'll notice when you step, it goes in steps of 500. I want this to come down to a full millimeter, essentially, down from where I set as the original work surface. Oops, and I just screwed it up. So I'm going to go back out, hit the run. I had it set at 200. You know what? Let's not go quite that high. Let's go 700. I can always do it again, not take the chance of messing up my work surface. Now I'll hit OK, and that locks that in. Other things I can set is the Z step. That says how far it's going to drop at a time. So based off of this and that stepping, that means it's going to take 7 passes to run this. I could up that and it would go much faster if I maybe made that like a 300-400 per step. But then I have a chance for greater tear out, and I got time to let it run. All right, with that, I'm going to start the job. And my Z is out of soft limit. Okay, now I'm going to configure my depth. I'm going to go run, pause. I want to change this to 0.7 and hit OK. So that locks that in at a depth of 0.700. And I'm still going at my Z step at 100. All right, let's see what happens. Go. Because this is going to take so many steps, I'll go ahead and pause it and come back. But you'll notice it's just kind of taken just a little bit off on the far edge, because that's where the board is a little bit warped. And so we'll see what it looks like here after about 3 passes. It's taken a little bit of time, but we're now on the last or second to last pass. And you'll notice across that plane that there's, now we can see cut marks all the way across it, where we've finally reached the point where we flattened that board out and milled that plane. So hopefully that's been useful to you. Now you don't have to go through all the trial and error that I did, trying to figure out how the controller works a little bit differently on milling planes versus your normal load up a file and go type operation. Thanks. Have a great day from us at JHGWoodCraft.